The Financial Statements Home menu. How well do you understand the home menu options in the Jazzit Financial Statements? This video is a quick overview of the home menu options available to you. When completing an engagement with Jazzit, set the home menu options first, as this establishes the default selections in the related letters. For example, if a review engagement is selected in the home menu, the engagement letter defaults to the review engagement letter. During this video, we will work our way through the home menu options, and then also look at the options available via the Jazzit Resources button, starting with the options for Diagnostics. Here, the Accounts Missing Map Numbers button opens a browse window displaying any unmapped accounts, and the button Accounts with Giphy Inconsistencies opens a browse window displaying accounts with a Giphy code other than the default Giphy code from the assigned map number. Here we see two accounts that have Giphy codes not corresponding to the ones indicated by the map numbers assigned to them. Account 1350 has a Giphy code of 1485 instead of 1484, and account 1020 has a Giphy code of 1001 instead of 1000. The Close All Browsers button simply closes any browsers that may still be open. These buttons, the Trial Balance, Map Numbers, Assign Mapping Numbers, and Adjusting Entries buttons quickly take you to different areas of CaseWare. These are particularly useful when you have your laptop in the field and only one screen available. The Trial Balance button opens the working trial balance in CaseWare. From here you can edit any of the details in the trial balance as you would in CaseWare. The Map Numbers button opens the mapping structure in CaseWare. From here you can edit the default and extended map descriptions directly. These descriptions then appear in your financial statements. The Assign Mapping Numbers button opens the Assign Mapping Numbers dialog. From here you can assign map numbers to client accounts or revise the map numbers assigned to accounts. This is how accounts are grouped on the main statement pages. The Adjusting Entries button allows you to either edit or create new adjusting entries. And Open Document allows you to open any document listed on the document manager of the CaseWare file. Under Display, the draft options let you select one of these draft stamp options for the statements. Please remember that if you are using our electronic signature option, this feature is only available when the draft stamp is set to off for final printing. This is an example of the draft stamp option on date stamp and initials, showing the draft stamp wording, the date stamp, and the initials. For display, this button indicates if your statements are set to show all lines or printing lines only. When switching to printing lines, this message is displayed to remind you that you are now unable to insert any additional lines into the statements. Simply click OK to close. As you can see, all lines without a balance are now hidden. And by right-clicking in the section to access the menu options, we see the option to insert linked or manual lines is unavailable, because any inserted lines would immediately be hidden. The lead sheet options allow you to indicate whether you want to hide, display only, or display and print the lead sheet numbers on the statements. In this example, the lead sheets are set to display only. Please note this option is only functional on the two-column statements. Using the Giphy options, you can choose from the same options, either hide, display only, or display and print the Giphy codes on the statements. In this example, the Giphy codes are set to display only, And just as with the lead sheet options, these are only available on the 2-column statements. Draft stamp wording allows you to select from these options, or enter your own. Whatever is selected prints across the pages as indicated here. Under rounding, we are made aware that rounding is either enabled or disabled by this button, and also this button in the freeze frame at the top of the template. Currently, rounding is enabled. To disable it, simply click the button, and the image on the rounding button indicates that rounding is disabled, and this red message in the freeze frame alerts you that rounding is now disabled as well. The rounding threshold, maintained in the firm profile module in the Resource Center, is displayed here, the default being $50. The selected rounding accounts for each individual statement are displayed, along with the current rounding difference in each statement. Your firm's Jazzit administrator can adjust the rounding threshold in the firm profile module in the Caleb file. If you need to select different rounding accounts, simply hover the cursor over the rounding difference, and this tooltip informs you that the current selected account can be changed by double-clicking on the cell. So by double-clicking the rounding difference on the balance sheet, we jump to the top of the balance sheet, where we are able to select a different account to round to using this selector, which displays a list of accounts available for rounding. Select the account you wish to round to. Once you've selected the accounts you wish to round to, and the rounding differences are all within the threshold, click this rounding button to activate rounding. The button then indicates that rounding is enabled, as does the freeze frame. Once the rounding has been enabled, this area displays the amounts that have been added to or subtracted from the selected rounding accounts. The income statement is rounded first, and any differences flow through to the balance sheet via the retained earnings or deficit. Next, engagement. The first option here is type, which allows you to indicate the engagement type, either notice to reader, review, or audit. This will select the engagement report in the financial statements, as well as the default for key letters, such as the engagement letter and the management rep letter. Then, using the wording options, you can indicate whether you want the wording in the templates to refer to your firm in the singular or plural form. For example, in the engagement report, if you are a sole practitioner, you'd like to use the words I or my, and if a multi-partner firm, the words we, us, or our. The firm designation is set in the firm profile module in the Resource Center, as indicated in this screenshot of the firm profile. This default letter signature option allows you to specify a default partner name for the signature blocks of the letters used in the file. The name you select here is then the default in the signature blocks of the letters. As the letters are opened, the name you selected is the one displayed, although you are able to select a different name if required, using this drop-down in the letter. Moving on to client profile, the corporate structure of your client's organization can be specified. This selection determines the wording used in the statements, as well as the type of equity statement used, retained earnings or changes in net assets, etc. An option for public sector accounting standards is also available when using the 9-column statements. Number of owners lets you specify if there is a single or multiple owners, which affects the wording used in the template, for example shareholder or shareholders. The default title of the owner is determined by the structure selected under Client Profile, but you can select a different option from this list of alternatives, or enter your own. This selection is then used throughout the template. Using entity referred to as, you can select a specific reference for the firm, or enter your own, which is then also used throughout the template. This optional alternate name allows you to provide an alternate name, other than the name recorded in the engagement properties of the CaseWare file, preceded with either operating as, or formally, or simply left blank. This is useful for companies with a different trade name. In this case, I've provided a different operating name, custom name, for this Jazzit simple example file. And this is how it presents in the statement headings. This field for Federal Tax Account Number allows you to record your client's federal tax filing number, and this button, Display Federal Address, lets you capture the Federal Tax Office address for your client. A list of the default federal tax filing addresses, based on the province of registration, is maintained in the Firm Profile module in the Resource Center. And this button allows you to load the default address for your client from this list. To close this area, use this button. The same functionality applies to the address information of the tax office accepting the provincial return. Enter your client's provincial tax filing number, and you can use this button to access the provincial filing address details for your client, where, just as with the federal filing address, you can either enter the details here or update with the default address from the Resource Center. The federal and provincial account numbers and tax office addresses are used in the client enclosure letter. To close this area, use this button. The template automatically applies either GST or HST to the template, determined by the province of registration in the CaseWare file. If required, you can override the automatic selection using this selector. If you wish to edit any of the engagement properties entered into CaseWare, including the operating name, click this button, Engagement Properties. Next is columns. These are the options for the 2-column statements, which we currently have enabled. If the 9-column statements were enabled, the column settings area would appear like this. We have a video implementation of the 1 to 9 column financial statements template available on our YouTube channel, My Jazzit. This Select Columns option allows you to toggle between 2-column comparative statements and single-column non-comparative statements, with or without the percentage column. When selecting Current Year No Percentage column, this is how the statements present. These column width options allow you to adjust the columns to accommodate the balances displayed. The Current Period Bolded button allows you to set the current period balances, either bold or unbold. Use this option to apply CaseWare's foreign exchange feature, if it is being used in the CaseWare file. When selecting Yes, you have the option to include a reference to the foreign currency in the statement headings, and what wording you wish to use for this reference. Here is an example of the reference in the heading of the income statement. Note that this feature only affects balances taken directly from the trial balance. Manual lines and amounts from external working papers are not affected. Under Page Options, the first option is for adjusting the top margin, which is done by increments of 1/10 of an inch. You can indicate whether you wish to include a line below the statement headings or not. Optional Statement Prefix allows you to add one of these optional prefixes to the statement headings, or enter your own. Here I've selected Consolidated, and this is how it displays in the heading of the income statement. This is the default wording for statement footer number 1, but you are able to select a different option using the drop-down to select a different option from the list available, or by entering your own. If the wording you require is not included in the list available, ask your Jazzit administrator to add it to the list of options available in your Jazzit Resource Center. This is an example of statement footer number 1 in the footer of the income statement. Statement footer 2 allows you to add a second footnote to the statement pages. Notes footer lets you add a footnote to the notes pages. This cell allows you to modify the wording for the carry forward footer that appears at the bottom of the first page when a statement extends onto multiple pages. And this button jumps you directly to the Notes and Policy Options area below the Notes menu. The statement headings and page number options allow you to align the headings and page numbers to the left, to the right, or centered. In this example, the statement headings are left aligned and the page numbers are right aligned. And here the statement headings and page numbers are both centered. Moving on to short year, the default option for current heading is determined by the active reporting period selected in CaseWare. Currently it's year, because in CaseWare the active period is set to yearly, as indicated here under the CaseWare engagement properties. If you are preparing statements for a period that is not a full reporting period, for example it may be the final year of operations or there has been a change in ownership, you can select different wording from the list of options available. Like here, where I've selected a 5-month period. Here's an example of the statement headings with this selection, where the default year ended has been replaced with a selection made. You can use these current column options to specify the appropriate wording for the current period column heading. Here I've selected 5 months for the short reporting period. Then if I need to indicate that the comparative period is a full year, I can use this option to select the appropriate wording from the options available. Here I've selected 12 months, and this is how the column headings present with these selections. If you need to change the wording for the comparative period, you can enter the appropriate text in these cells. Next is signature lines. And the first option here is number of lines, where you can specify how many signature lines you require on the balance sheet, to a maximum of 4. The default wording used for the signatures is determined by the corporate structure selected under Client Profile, and this affects the default signature heading selected here. Now, moving on to the last home menu option, Admin. Here your firm's name, license number, and the number of seats licensed to your firm is displayed. The path to the resource center that the template is currently connected to is displayed here. Here we are connected to the klib, KLIB file. If this was a farming file, we would be connected to the farmlib, FRMLIB file. If the path is incorrect, perhaps connected to a folder that does not contain the Resource Center file, this message is displayed, and this red warning is displayed above the home menu. If you are correctly connected to the Resource Center, the individual modules that make up the financial statements template are displayed, as well as these 2 columns of dates. The current file column displays the version of the module currently being used, and the RC revised column displaying the version of each module available in the Resource Center. If the Resource Center contains a module newer than what we are currently using, the status indicator will display this triangle symbol, and this message, Updates Available, will be displayed in red. To replace the existing module with the newer one in the Resource Center, click the status indicator. You will then be prompted to confirm your option, as indicated here. Click Yes to save your statements before completing the update, or No to proceed with the update without saving first, or Cancel to exit without saving. When all the existing modules in the template are current, the status indicators are all check marks, and there is no red warning message displayed. If 2 or more statement pages have updates available, you will see this Update All button at the top of this area, to update all pages with a single click. Lastly, let's take a look at the options available via the Jazzit button. First up is Phone Support, which provides the telephone number for the technical support team, as well as indicates the hours that support is available. Email Support launches your email software with a new email addressed to the support team. Jazzit Fundamentals Help Guide takes you to our online searchable help guide. Support Website opens the support page of our website in your default browser. Online Community takes you to our online community website. YouTube takes you to our YouTube channel. User Resources takes you to the User Resources section of our training and support website. What's New with Jazzit takes you to the What's New page on our website. Go to Assist Remote Assistance launches the login page for Go to Assist, the software used by our technical support team when assisting clients with technical issues. Request a Feature, Report an Issue takes you directly to the Fix-It page on our website, where you can either request a feature that you would like us to add to our existing templates, or report an issue that you've discovered while using our templates. That concludes this video about the options available in the Financial Statements home menu. Let's take a quick look at what we just learned. We were presented with a brief overview of each home menu option available in the home menu of the Financial Statements, and also provided with a reference to the video about the 9-column financial statements, which discusses the various column setting options available in the 9-column financial statement framework. CaseWare should be easy. To find out how, visit us at jazzit.com.